Welcome to the Master Builder Show, sponsored by the First National Bank of Weatherford. I am your host, Jim Gibson, president of Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, a registered builder in the state of Texas and a graduate master builder certified by the National Association of Home Builders. Today's topics are going to be the Master Gardeners Association, landscaping, and ideas for existing and new homes. My guest today is Jerry Parr, and he's with the Parker County Master Gardeners, and my wife, Jean Gibson. How are you all today?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Jerry, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I've been in Weatherford about 6 years now, live in one of the old houses here in town that we're restoring. I've got a lifetime project ahead of me there. So, native Texan, but lived in Colorado about 20 years before we got back here.
Why'd you leave Colorado?
The winters got a little long, and it was also time to get back and take care of family. That's here.
All right, if y'all out there have any questions, you can call us at 877-341-8950. That's 877-341-8950. And to check out Builders, go online to www.masterbuildershow.com. Right there, it'll take you into my main website, and it's got over on the left-hand side, you can click on TRCC, which is the Texas Residential Construction Commission, and you can check out all the builders in your area to make sure they're registered. Jerry, we're going to talk about plants today, correct?
That's right.
Oh, yeah, we are. I already started in with a list of questions.
What are you going to start out with?
With me? Well, I like to talk about some of the top 10 problems that I've seen in Parker County with people and the things they've done wrong over the years.
All right.
And so maybe and just start with the number one on the list, and we'll see where it goes there. And I call it's larger than I thought. So many people, they go to the nursery and they buy something without really knowing what it's going to be, and they plant it right up next to their house.
Right.
And then 15 years from now, it's trying to eat the house, take care of the house. So that's an example of the kinds of things that we want. We say know the mature size of the plant when you buy it, and then think about the space that it needs to go in.
And that's the number one problem?
I think that's the number one problem.
All right. What's number two?
I call it weed and feed and kill. The over-infatuation we have with having a pristine grass with nothing living in it but grass. And we need to move away from that. We use way too many insecticides. We use way too many pesticides. We practice something we call integrated pest management, which says you don't do that. And the fact is, most of the time, these weed and feed kind of fertilizers don't really work very well unless you apply them at exactly the right times and read the instructions very carefully. So that's something that we need to try to avoid as well.
Well, that was part of what I had asked you earlier. I mean, I'm aware of two strong camps of gardening in the area, and it's the Dirt Doctor, which I tend to lean toward, or Neil Sperry. So it's the organic as opposed to the chemical. Master Gardener, sir, what camp are you in?
We're in between. We call it Earthkind. We're affiliated with the Texas Cooperative Extension, which has recently changed its name to AgriLife Extension. So you may start seeing that name again. Okay. And which is affiliated with Texas A&M. So the only things we recommend are going to be those things that have been proven through research at land-grant universities across the country, not just A&M, but for Purdue and Indiana and LSU and wherever. And we do recommend chemicals, but absolutely as the last resort. There's a lot of other things you can do before you get there. Let's take weeds in your yard. You know, especially this time of year, we're seeing lots of henbit and chickweed and things like that coming up, all those green weeds. Well, one school of thought would be go out and put some chemical in there and kill them all. Another one is, they're going to be gone in about a month. Just leave them alone. Mow them down.
Why don't you just pull them?
Or just pull them by hand. Don't do anything
that's
at all.
fine if you only have a little bit of a yard, but we've got acres and acres.
But so the Earthkind approach says we don't hesitate to use an appropriate chemical, but it's going to be the thing as the last resort. Let me just share, and also there's chemicals sometimes get a bad name. One of the organic methods for weed control is vinegar.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And household vinegar doesn't do a thing. If you're really going to try to kill a weed, you need to use 20% vinegar, which is an acid that you can buy.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's pretty dangerous. It's a pretty dangerous chemical to be working with.
You don't use it on your salads?
Not at all. and guess what? It doesn't really kill the weed. It only kills the top growth. It doesn't really kill the root. So that's an organic method that just doesn't work. and everybody touts it. But if you look at the research behind it, it simply doesn't work.
Yeah, we were talking, I think, during before we came on the show that everything that y'all do is backed by Texas A&M University
correct.
on their research.
Correct. So we're not going to do something that's not going to work, but we won't hesitate to do that. And if we do use a chemical, it's because everything else, every other remedy has failed, meaning leave it alone, mow it, pull it up by hand, all those other things. And then if you are going to use a chemical, we use the one that will really do the job. Don't use one that won't do the job.
Well, where do I find these chemicals? Have you got a list on your website?
You can.
Are packages marked?
You can go to our website. There's another great website for all of this, Aggie Horticulture. It's really easy to use if you Google Aggie Horticulture. The actual website address is a little more complicated because it's going to have a .tamu, .edu, etc. But there's tons of information there. Or call us. One of the things that Master Gardeners do in Parker County is we answer the phone. We're up to 3 days a week now. 598-6168. So call and ask the Master Gardener with a specific question. I've got this problem. How do I solve this problem?
Can we back up one more step? Tell me why you're what's the difference between you and me? You're a master gardener and I play in the dirt.
Who are Texas Master Gardeners?
That's a good question. And we're not a whole lot different from you. We both have a love of gardening and interest in gardening. But to become a master gardener, there's two things you have to do. You have to get some education. We offer a class every 2 years, and we'll have a class this fall. It's 6 weeks of instruction, 2 days a week. It's given by A&M professors and other knowledgeable people. So it's about 60 to 80 hours of instruction. And from that, you become what's called an intern. And then you have to serve as an intern 1 year and give back to the community 50 hours of community service.
What does it cost? I mean, is there a cost associated with the class?
There's a cost associated with it because you get a handbook and things. It's $60 or something like that. I don't know.
That's all.
Yeah, I don't remember, but something like that. And then on an ongoing basis, to continually to be certified as a master gardener, we have to give back 36 hours of community service, and that's 12 hours of working in the county doing various things, 12 hours working in the extension office helping with things there, and 12 hours of continuing education. So we're always getting more education all the time, too.
That telephone number you gave us at 817-598-6168, and now that's the extension office here in Weatherford.
Correct.
And they can call and get all the information from there. What website can they go to? Do you remember it right offhand?
PCMG-Texas.org. Parker County Master Gardeners.Texas. Texas.org.
Go in and Google Master Gardener and pick out the website location.
Yeah, there's Master Gardener all across the United States, as well as many in almost every county in Texas now has a Master Gardener.
When I was researching, doing all my research for this show, I just pulled up or Googled Master Gardener and for Texas. And it listed all the counties, and you could click on that individual county, and it would take you right to that location. That would be the easiest way to find it. What was we were talking about the don'ts, I guess?
Yeah.
We started out with the don'ts,
you want me to give you another one?
Yeah.
I call it the Bradford pear and his or her kin. Especially seems all the builders around just love the Bradford pear.
They used to.
It's an awful tree. But it's going to be good for about 15, 20 years until you're about ready to sell the house, and then it's going to look terrible. So buy something that's going to look good 20 years from now, 30 years from now, not something that's fast growing. Right. There is no good fast growing tree. That's one of Neil Sperry's quotes. You buy a good tree and do everything you can to take care of that tree to make it grow as best as it can. So
we planted hybrid poplar. Have you run into that mess?
No, I don't know about that.
That was a variety. Looking at the tree over time, looked like a variety of cottonwood. And it ran under the ground and would come up everywhere.
But they only lived about 2 years at a time.
Yes.
They'd get up about 10 or 15 foot tall and about 6 inches in diameter, and they'd die. And so we ended up taking them out. What's number 4?
You live in Parker County.
You
don't live in Georgia. You don't live in Minnesota. Don't live in California. So grow plants that will live in Parker County. And for me, I came from East Texas. That means I had to give up my camellias and mosaias and my pine trees and my dogwoods. Those plants just won't grow here, and we have to get over that fact. I really struggle with hydrangea because I remember at my grandmother's place, and it just doesn't grow well here.
We've got to take a break. We'll be back here in a couple of minutes.
Did you know that some of the best home builders in the entire nation are right here in Parker County? Hello, everyone. This is Lynn Bearden, president of First National Bank of Weatherford. Our lenders believe your family deserves the best when it comes to your dream home. First National Bank is proud to support the Master Builder Show on QXFM. First National Bank in Weatherford has been building homes in Parker County since 1880. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
Hello, I'm Ken Johnson, Republican candidate for Palo Pinto County Commissioner, Precinct 1, and I'm proud to sponsor this programming on 88.5 The Ram.
YourCircleOfWealth.com. A recent study by one of the world's largest financial institutions estimates that over 90% of baby boomers will not retire financially independent. We have prepared a financial report entitled Your Circle of Wealth. Learn how changing the way you manage your money can dramatically increase your wealth. To get a copy, you may go to www.yourcircleofwealth.com and enter the passcode Gibson, Gibson. That's yourcircleofwealth.com.
Fort Worth Lighting, serving the building professional in Parker, Wise, Palo Pinto, and surrounding counties. Services include planned takeoff, site walkthrough, and delivery. For an appointment with a Fort Worth Lighting consultant, the number is 817-597-6320, or the website is fortworthlighting.com. Again, it's 817-597-6320 for Fort Worth Lighting.
North Texas Basements, 817-770-2768. With over 30 years of experience in residential construction, add extra living area, storm protection, and extra room that will be easy to heat and cool without needing a large piece of ground to build on. Think about having a basement in your next home. North Texas Basements, 817-770-BSMT or 817-770-2768. Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, 2401 Zion Hill Road, Weatherford, Texas, 682-429-2116. We specialize in homes to suit each and every individual that expects special attention. We help design, finance, and close on every home we build. We use green building techniques in all of our homes. You can contact Jim at masterbuildershow.com. Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, Weatherford, 682-429-2116. Welcome back to the Master Builder Show. I'm your host, Jim Gibson. Today's show is sponsored by the First National Bank of Weatherford. My guest today is Jerry Parr with the Master Gardeners Association of Parker County, and my wife, Jean. And we're talking about do's and don'ts and everything about landscaping and basically what not to do here in Parker County before we started out
part
with.
of it. Yeah.
And over the break, I mentioned to you that I happen to like roses, and I have a garden now dedicated to roses, and I've been buying from Tyler, and I bought the knockout rose.
That's a good one.
And it's just luscious, and I've got it planted what used to be horse pens, and all that good old horse manure kicked in for years and years. And you said...
Well, I said be careful in buying Tyler roses because so many of those are the hybrid teas, and those need just so much care. They need spraying and constant attention. And again, lately we've been recommending a group of roses called Earthkind roses. Knockout is one of those Earthkind roses. And these are roses that have been in statewide trials all across the state of Texas, and I've seen the trial garden over in Dallas, and to tell you what they did there, they went to the nurseries and said, give us your 100 best roses. They did a good job of planting them. They did everything correctly in planting them, and then they walked away for 5 years. No fertilization, no spraying, no pruning, nothing. You come back after 5 years and say, now which ones are still alive? Beyond that, which ones look good?
Wow.
And so out of that, 17 roses made that first trial, and those are the ones they called Earthkind because they need no care.
17 out of 100.
17 out of 100.
And that's what I planted because that's what they're bound to get. It's no care.
Right. And so that's what yeah, you can buy, if you just look for the Earthkind label on the roses. Lots of people are starting to push that now, and there's lots of them.
But I have a mother who buys plants out of catalogs. So they're coming from all over the country from different growers.
Right.
Is the Earth Kind label that I've got on my roses here in Texas, would that still do well in other parts of the country? Can you grow it successfully up north?
Roses are pretty adaptable across the United States in many zones. Most of them will go from zones 6 to 9, which means they're going to go from certainly the Midwest down into South Texas, which most of the United States, if you will. And I really can't speak too much for out of Texas. I haven't studied that too much. But I know roses are very adaptable and do well in most climates.
So the earth-friendly expression is not specific to Texas?
No, it's not. Now A&M, this again came out of A&M, and they have patented that name, Earthkind.
Okay,
so that's it's a trademark that they're using. So.
Yeah, I noticed when I was pulling up Earthkind on the internet, it came up with their trademark. And there's some rose bushes out there now that are not subject to black spot, aren't there?
That's the thing about when I say they didn't spray. That means they don't get black
all
spot or powdery
17 of
mildew.
those.
Yeah, they're very resistant to that kind of stuff.
Where can we find a list of those roses?
You can certainly get it at Aggie Horticulture. It's probably on our website. It's certainly in our book that we sell, The Real Dirt. I mean, I could if it's not on our website, I can make sure it's on there by the week. Or talk to any nursery. I'm sure they have the list too. And more roses are undergoing trials, so they're going to be adding roses to the list.
Well, good.
But it takes 5 years for something to make the list.
But the list is very extensive. I mean, it's a nice variety.
Yeah.
So that
I have two of them. I have Belinda's Dream, which is the pink version of Knockout. It looks like Knockout, but it's pink. And then I have one called Climbing Pinky, which is a climbing rose. It's absolutely. It's in 3 years. It's grown from a twig to, I don't know, 20 feet tall and 15 feet wide kind of thing.
Oh, my gosh.
And just covered in blooms. And most of these are repeat bloomers, meaning they bloom all year long in cycles. They don't constantly have bloom, but they will bloom and then bloom again and then bloom again and then bloom again with good shows in the spring and fall.
And the other thing that I had asked you that runs much in the same thing was about what when they say native plants. You had told me that the crepe myrtle was not a truly native plant. It was an adapted plant.
It's an adapted plant. It got to Texas as fast as it could, just like a lot of other people, right?
I got lost and ended up here.
Crepe myrtle's from Asia, from China, and was introduced into the United States or the colonies back in the 1600s or 1700s, and it's been here so long that we think of it as a native. It's been named the state shrub of Texas, but it's not a native.
Well, I've always heard it called the Texas weed because you can just put it in the ground, forget it pretty well, it'll grow.
But not native. And so to me, it's a great example of an adapted plant.
You were telling us that native trees or native plants or anything that came before Columbus, correct?
That's essentially the definite. They were here already,
right?
Before, but how did those plants get here? Native plants are good. They do grow well, but I don't think you should limit yourself to native plants. And also remember, Texas is a big state, but because it's native to Texas doesn't mean it's going to grow well here. Palm trees are native to Texas.
Right. We've got to take another break. We'll be back here in a couple of minutes.
Did you know that some of the best home builders in the entire nation are right here in Parker County? Hello, everyone. This is Lynn Bearden, president of First National Bank of Weatherford. Our lenders believe your family deserves the best when it comes to your dream home. First National Bank is proud to support the Master Builder Show on QXFM. First National Bank in Weatherford has been building homes in Parker County since 1880. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
Hello, I'm Ken Johnson, Republican candidate for Palo Pinto County Commissioner, Precinct 1, and I'm proud to sponsor this programming on 88.5 The Ram.
I'm Jean Gibson, and I love Weatherford, and I'm proud to offer Zion Hill Estates. Zion Hill Estates is a country development 5 minutes from the center of Weatherford, grocery stores, hospitals, banks, department stores, and in the Peaster School District. 1 acre lot minimums gives you space to spread your arms and enjoy country living. 2 or more acres will give you space for your horse or your goats. Gibson Home Builders, 682-429-2116, will build you the home of your dreams in Zion Hill Estates. Go north of the square to 920, left on Zion Hill Road for 2.4 miles to Zion Hill Estates. We'd like to show you the land and an energy-efficient model home. The number is 682-429-2116. YourCircleOfWealth.com. A recent study by one of the world's largest financial institutions estimates that over 90% of baby boomers will not retire financially independent. We have prepared a financial report entitled Your Circle of Wealth. Learn how changing the way you manage your money can dramatically increase your wealth. To get a copy, you may go to www.yourcircleofwealth.com and enter the passcode Gibson, Gibson. That's YourCircleOfWealth.com.
Alamo Appliance, 100 South Riverside Drive in Fort Worth, has been dedicated to serving your needs in kitchen appliances for over 35 years. They offer Genair, KitchenAid, Whirlpool, Maytag, Amana, and many others. Their experienced sales staff will help you make the right decisions at the right time. That's Alamo Appliance, 817-531-2701. Once again, that's Alamo Appliance, 817-531-2701.
Fort Worth Lighting, serving Parker, Wise, Palo Pinto, and surrounding counties with a selection of interior and exterior lighting fixtures. They also have ceiling fans, mirrors, and vanities in all sizes. A lighting consultant will help you with your decisions. For an appointment with a Fort Worth Lighting consultant, the number is 817-597-6320, or the website is fortworthlighting.com. 817-597-6320 for Fort Worth Lighting.
Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, 2401 Zion Hill Road, Weatherford, Texas, 682-429-2116. We specialize in homes to suit each and every individual that expects special attention. We help design, finance, and close on every home we build. We use green building techniques in all of our homes. You can contact Jim at masterbuildershow.com. Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, Weatherford, 682-429-2116. Welcome back to the Master Builder Show. I am your host, Jim Gibson. Today's show is sponsored by the First National Bank of Weatherford. My guest today is Jerry Parr. He's with Parker County Master Gardeners, and my wife, Jean. And we're talking about different types of plants, native plants, and things, well, I guess some that are not so native, and what to do and what not to do here in Parker County. Jerry, we got down to number 4 there, and that was the Bradford pear. And you said you want to put a plug in for the gardeners.
I just wanted to mention that for people that may not be aware of it, because you may not have seen the catalog, but every year we work with the Weatherford Independent School District to put on a class, adult education class, and our class is coming up in March 8th, all-day class on gardening in Parker County. Bed preparation, integrated pest management, water-wise conservation, and then a whole afternoon of recommended plants here. So for those that might be interested, you can call WISD at 817-598-2806 to get the details. It's all day Saturday, March 8th. There's a charge of $25 a person.
Repeat that number again.
817-598-2806.
All right.
Excellent.
That's for an all-day class here at Weatherford College.
It's with the school district, so it's going to be over at Crockett Elementary School.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Good. When you were telling me what makes a native plant a native plant. You were trying to with Texas, the things that grow in East Texas. My mom's house, my sister's house have dogwoods, have azaleas. I have dead sticks.
Exactly. It's a great idea of a native plant that just doesn't grow here. So just because it's native doesn't mean it's going to thrive here. And that's what we want. We want plants that thrive. So are you calling this a misnomer to say a plant is native? No, I'm just saying native plants are great plants. And if you can find native post oak is native to Parker County. It's a great tree to grow in Parker County. It is a native plant. It's just that if somebody says grow native plant, make sure it's one that's going to grow here.
Yeah, there's native plants to every county. Not all counties can grow everything that other counties grow. So
So if a plant is not native but adapts well,
then I think you should consider it as well. There are many great adapted plants, and that's a lot of the salvias that come up from Mexico do very well here in our alkaline soil. That's what we need. We need things that are going to take these hot summers, low water, and the alkaline soil we have. And that we don't live in East Texas with 45 inches of rain a year, acidic soil, et cetera, et cetera.
On an average year, Parker County gets what, about 30?
About 30.
About 30. So we're about 15 inches behind them on their rainfall.
Correct.
And you were talking about number 5, I think.
Well, I can go. Which was water? Is water's going to become a luxury? Was next on my list. I mean, you're already seeing it in some of the counties in the Metroplex where they have restricted watering.
Right.
That's going to hit all of us in the future. In 15 years, it may be 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, but it's going to hit us, and we need to start realizing water is a luxury, especially water for watering your yard. And there's too many people have automated sprinkler systems. They turn them on every day, and they need to wean themselves of that habit.
So what would be, well, it depends on the type of grass, though, as to how often you should water, or are they all fairly close?
It does depend on the grass. St. Augustine needs the most water, needs more water than Bermuda, that needs more water than Buffalo. I mean, you don't water Buffalo at all. But beyond that, the problem we have with watering every day in a short period of time, you encourage shallow root growth. And what you want to do is only water at most every 3 or 4 days. I don't water but once a month, except maybe in the middle of the summer when it's really dry.
And you should, there's some methods that you can use to test and see how much water has gone out. I've heard putting like a tuna fish can with your, and so you want to deliver an inch of water every time you water. You want that much water to be delivered. So when you can fill up a tuna fish can, you've watered them out. But then you should only do that once a week. Some people even say once a month. I tend to go to the once a month because I'm trying to wean myself of the habit of depending on water.
Well, you're weaning your plants, your surface plants.
Exactly.
What about the trees or new plants of deep bushes?
There's always you break the rule for planting. Lucy Harrell from over in Fort Worth has this great plan for watering, establishing plants. You water every day for a week. You water every 3rd day for 2 weeks. You water every 5th day for 2 weeks, something like that. So you slowly get the plant weaned away, but you've got to get that root system established early.
Well, they were saying something about testing the moisture in your soil just by picking it up, and if you can clump it and it sticks together, there's enough moisture.
You can also just look at your plants. You can tell if the leaves start wrinkling. If you walk across your grass and you see your footprint, it's a time that it needs water. So look for indications like that, and don't have an automated watering system.
Well, even if you did have an automated watering system, you should just set it where it comes on once a month.
I'm not going to say that. Most people wouldn't go. That's what I would do, but most people wouldn't go there. I tell people brown's a color too.
But I can get that on any plant. Thank you.
That's right.
Yeah.
What is the best type of sprinkler system, in your opinion?
It depends on what you're doing. For ornamental beds, for your flowering plants, drip irrigation is clearly the best.
Okay.
For lawn grass, probably the underground sprinkler system is probably the best way to go there, but only if it's operated in a manual mode. From my time in living in Colorado with limited water, I still use a hosed-in watering system. I have one sprinkler, and I drag it around from place to place, and it's a good discipline to not water too much because it's a lot of work.
Are there... I guess what's number?
Next on my list. Instant gratification. I mean, everybody wants this landscape to go in overnight and look beautiful. And we were talking before the program about stewardship, about planning for the future, let things take time. Things will grow. Plants will grow faster than you think if you give them the time, and you'll be surprised what can happen in a few years. The rule of thumb is the first year it sleeps, the second year it creeps, the third year it leaps. But give yourself 3 years, at least 3 years, and don't get into this. I want my yard to look perfect tomorrow.
We had Leon Campbell on the show from the native shade tree farm out here in Weatherford. And he said, the main thing for tree growth is water and deep watering. And he recommends that gator-type watering system where they put it's like an inner tube that fits around the tree, and you just fill it up with 15 gallons of water and let it sit there.
Yeah, one of the things I did do early on in our house is brought in a magnolia tree, both because it was one of my East Texas things, but also it fit with the style of our house. We have this old Greek Revival house, and it was just screaming for a magnolia tree. And I water it a lot because that's 80 years from now, that magnolia tree will look really, really good. If I water it a lot, that might be 60 years. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so you're right. For trees, it will encourage. On
the magnolia, are you having to add supplement with acid or anything like that?
I've not yet. It looks good. I was a little concerned about that, but it's looking great.
I've heard people go out and pour in a gallon of vinegar around the tree.
Yeah, or sulfur would be good too.
Okay, yeah, anything to bring acid.
But it doesn't help a lot because our water's alkaline. So all this water we're going to get to it is going to quickly neutralize that acid. But it doesn't hurt. Mine is looking good without that. So I've been lucky.
One of the opening sentences was recommendations on plants for new construction, and when we build a house that's a model home, it's going to be sitting there. Can you recommend plants or bushes for new construction that will look presentable and not go nuts and be monsters growing?
You're talking foundation plants?
Yeah, foundation
plants. Well, I think the dwarf Yalpine holly is still a real classic for that kind of look. I mean, it's important. Well, for some new houses, I don't think you need foundation planting at all, because the house is pretty enough without it.
Right.
Foundation plants come from the era of my house when you had crawl space that you were wanting to hide. Mm-hmm. But we got accustomed to these foundation plantings and have continued to use them, even though their reason doesn't exist anymore. But yes, I would think about that, about dwarf Yalpine holly. You want to think about something evergreen, which is useful. Personally, I like Salvia gregae a lot. It's one of the salvias. It's almost evergreen, not quite. There'll be a month or two when you don't have much there. But it has such a fantastic bloom from March through November.
It's Salvia what?
Gregae, also called...
Gregae?
Gregae, Greggii. It's also called autumn sage, but that's a misnomer, sort of implying that it blooms in the fall, but it blooms in March and April and May, June, July, August, September, October, November.
We've got some kind of sage in front of our gates when you come into our location there, and they're purple sage or blue sage. What are they?
It's a silver-leafed sage.
It's probably the Texas sage.
And after it rains, it blooms.
Yeah, that's the Texas sage. Yeah, which is very drought tolerant.
Oh yeah, we never watered. I mean, it's down.
You can't get to it.
Well, it's 1,000 foot away from our house. We don't have any water down there to start with. And
well, is this Salvia gregae a sage?
It's a sage, but it's more in the salvia. That gets confusing to people too. Let's just say it's a sage, but it's in the same family as the Mexican bush sage and the mealy blue sage. It's not going to be a big shrub like the Texas sage you're talking about. It's much smaller. The leaf structure is very different.
What color are the leaves?
The bright green.
Oh, okay.
So it looks very different.
Because the Texas sage.
It's a large shrub, and I think it's beautiful.
Huge, and that's silver blue. Mm-hmm. There's others that I have seen. One of my favorites is Elaeagnus.
Yeah, that's a very large shrub.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If you're going to use that next to a house, it better be not where there's a window, right?
Right.
Again,
they get awful leggy too, and if you don't keep them trimmed back.
But it is a great shrub. But I look at it as more as a shrub you would use as a hedge for privacy or something like that, because it's going to get 10 feet tall.
Well, the blossoms on it smell so sweet in the spring.
Yeah. Always look at the mature size of the plant and then consider that with what you're planting. And I wouldn't want to put a Elaeagnus as a foundation plant.
We use it as a large hedge on one side of our property over there.
Think about knockout for that. People are using knockout rose as a hedge. Have you ever thought of that?
No, but that is a good idea.
It is spectacular. I've seen the photos of it.
What's next on your list?
I like that idea.
pruning, and it's a great time to talk about crepe murder, because a lot of people are doing it right now.
Crepe murder?
Yeah. Crepe myrtle is a beautiful plant. We've talked about it a lot today. You should really never top it. It just destroys the natural look of that plant. And the research has shown that not only does it just make the plant look awful, it decreases the bloom size, it decreases the bloom length, you have smaller blooms, on and on and on. So when you plant a plant it so you don't have to prune it. And that means plant it the right size plant in the right location. Don't plant it next to the house where it's going to overcome the eaves. Don't plant one that's going to be that big. You should have to prune very seldom. When you do prune for a purpose.
What about pruning them up to where they look like trees instead of a crepe myrtle bush? Go ahead and
cleaning the feet.
Yeah. Now, there is a proper way to prune a crepe myrtle, and you're right. That is remove out all the low undergrowth, clean up the inside a little bit to give it more air, some things like that.
More
sunlight coming in. But yeah, don't top them.
Is there a dwarf crepe myrtle?
Yes, there are, and there's some new varieties coming out that are really, really incredible. That are, I think, here we could use in place of azaleas. They almost look like azaleas.
What's your feeling on red tip Vitinia?
Awful to plant.
Awful to plant. They're subject to cottonwood root rot and some other diseases.
And yeah, just don't plant them.
Yeah, we've had some quite large plants here in the last few years that just have declined. I mean, and it doesn't take them very long once they get diseased. They just drop.
Yeah. One quick thing on crepe myrtles. American Indian names. Remember that. Sioux, Choctaw, Cherokee, Comanche, Arapaho, Apache. Mm-hmm. Buy those varieties. Those are a hybrid crepe myrtle that's resistant to powdery mildew disease again, which is about the only disease that affects crepe myrtle. So just remember.
Very good.
Remember American Indian names.
So what's next on your list?
Where's the sun?
Which up there.
Which so many people buy plants. They go to the nursery and they see a plant and then they buy it. And it's a plant that needs full sun, and they bring it into their yard and put it under a shade tree, and it doesn't do well. So you need to know where the sun is in your yard and plant sun plants in the sun and shade plants in the shade.
Well, I had a little problem with that because I covet blue hydrangeas, and they were supposed to be in the full sun. I planted them in
the dapple shade.
Oh, well, the tag that came from Illinois said
full sun in Illinois is not full sun in Texas.
And so I ended up moving it over under the oak trees, and it's not doing a scrap better there either.
No. They just don't, as much as we love that plant, it's not going to do well here. Go to the oak leaf hydrangea, which is not the same, but it will do okay. But it's not what we grew up with, right?
No, and that's what I was trying to do. Are there others, you mentioned East Texas with their azaleas and dogwoods. Are there other plants, the old standards, that just don't make it here? Or there's some that do?
Camellias don't make it here. There's another. What's related to the camellia? I can't think of
Gardenia.
it. Gardenia, thank you. They don't make it here. Pine trees don't do well here. You'll see a pine tree every now and then they'll happen to be in the right place, but they're not going to do well here.
But we've got cedars that we're all allergic to. So.
Right. And we've got plenty of other choices. We just need to realize we've got these other plants. Lilac doesn't do well here, but Vitex, which looks very much like a lilac,
Vitex?
Does very well.
We've got to take another break, and we'll be back here in a couple of minutes.
Did you know that some of the best home builders in the entire nation are right here in Parker County? Hello, everyone. This is Lynn Bearden, president of First National Bank of Weatherford. Our lenders believe your family deserves the best when it comes to your dream home. First National Bank is proud to support the Master Builder Show on QXFM. First National Bank in Weatherford has been building homes in Parker County since 1880. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
Fort Worth Lighting, serving the building professional in Parker, Wise, Palo Pinto, and surrounding counties. Services include planned takeoff, site walkthrough, and delivery. For an appointment with a Fort Worth Lighting consultant, the number is 817-597-6320, or the website is fortworthlighting.com. Again, it's 817-597-6320 for Fort Worth Lighting.
I'm Jean Gibson, and I love Weatherford, and I'm proud to offer Zion Hill Estates. Zion Hill Estates is a country development 5 minutes from the center of Weatherford, grocery stores, hospitals, banks, department stores, and in the Peaster School District. 1 acre lot minimums gives you space to spread your arms and enjoy country living. 2 or more acres will give you space for your horse or your goats. Gibson Home Builders, 682-429-2116, will build you the home of your dreams in Zion Hill Estates. Go north of the square to 920, left on Zion Hill Road for 2.4 miles to Zion Hill Estates. We'd like to show you the land and an energy-efficient model home. The number is 682-429-2116.
Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, 2401 Zion Hill Road, Weatherford, Texas, 682-429-2116. We specialize in homes to suit each and every individual that expects special attention. We help design, finance, and close on every home we build. We use green building techniques in all of our homes. You can contact Jim at masterbuildershow.com. Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, Weatherford, 682-429-2116. Welcome back to the Master Builder Show. I am your host, Jim Gibson. Today's show is sponsored by the First National Bank of Weatherford. My guest today is Jerry Parr with the Parker County Master Gardeners and my wife, Jean, and we're talking about plants and native plants in Texas and plants to bring into Texas. And we were on up to, number 5 or 6 on your list there?
We've done much more than that. But you want another thing that I think one of my pet peeves.
Right.
Grass infatuation. Everybody wants this perfect, large, manicured lawn. This obsession with the weed-free, perfectly green, perfectly pure lawn. We need to get over that. And
just mow what you got.
Yeah, exactly. But also have less grass. Grass takes more water, takes more fertilizer, takes more herbicides, takes more of everything than any other thing you can plant. Takes more maintenance, takes more time.
Right.
So you can do so many other plants that are going to look better than grass.
Such as?
Ground covers?
No. I'm talking about shrubs and flowers and roses and all kinds of things like that. Put in ornamental beds. A&M tells us that they're trying to get it to where no more than 1/3 of your landscape is grass.
We were talking about you were talking about mono horticulture, I guess, for the problem we had in a lot of these areas. We had one kind of tree growing, like the oak wilt is affecting our property out here, and so you really want to diversify your lawn, also, and that way, if you do have a problem with some type of disease, it just doesn't wipe out the whole thing. I noticed a lot of people that planted the St. Augustine and all that stuff before they came up with the St. Augustine decline-resistant type grasses. They'd go in and plant it and water it for years, and it'd look great, and then all of a sudden they got a brown lawn.
Right.
So you're saying diversify as much as possible?
As much as possible, and think about bringing things in besides just turf grass, and design your yard so that you have some flowering plants and some other things that add interest all time of the year. I mean, grass isn't too pretty right now.
No.
I've got lots of things blooming in my yard now that look really a lot better than the grass does. So.
What type of ground covers would you put if you were going to use ground covers, or do you recommend them?
I don't really recommend. Ground covers have their place, and you use them in places where you don't use grass well, on slopes, in narrow medians, under shade where grass doesn't grow. I'm saying put in flower beds.
Right.
Okay, and take out some of your grass that way. Give yourself you want a nice lawn. There's something to walk on. I read something recently said if the only time you walk on grass is to mow it, then you probably shouldn't have grass there.
Excellent idea. I've seen a lot of these places that make like formal gardens that have pathways through it, and don't even have grass. They put down like a lava rock or some type of
decomposed granite is the thing that's starting to be the rage around here. I like it a lot. A lot of people are starting to use it, and it makes a great pathway. It looks very natural, easy to keep. And you're right. Start putting other things and build yourself a yard that's pleasant to go to and doesn't have so much grass.
A lot of the homes out here, because we're rural, have acreage. So it's not your city lot. It's not even a half acre.
Let all that go native. keep a little bit around your house that you're going to take care of, but let the rest of it be what it's going to be.
Well, what does native look like out here?
It's going to be a lot of prairie grasses, for example, that you might mow once a year with the tractor if you want to do that. You could put in lots of shrubs, larger shrubs, if you wanted to have some screening or something like that. So there's lots of things you can do.
Good. I can get creative.
Well, we've got one part of our property that we've left kind of wild just for all the road runners and the rabbits and everything
We've got
else
a lot of
that come through
wildlife
there.
on the property.
All right.
What's next on your list?
Let me just share with you a few secrets. I call it secrets from the
Great.
masters.
Good,
Move on
good.
to something
Yeah.
else. And the first one is odd numbers. Plant in odd numbers. And this is something that's been around in the art world forever. And it has to do with something called the golden mean, the Fibonacci rule, and all kinds of things. But when you plant plants, plant 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. It just looks better for whatever reasons it does.
That's why mine never looked well, because I always buy 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10, right?
So, plant small, buy small. If you're going to plant trees, plant a. I always plant the smallest plant you can buy. Sometimes I get frustrated because I can only find something in a 1-gallon pot, and then I would rather get a 4-inch pot.
Right.
I mean, because they will grow much faster, and a smaller plant is the root system's going to get established faster, and it's going to grow faster than a larger one.
So it adapts. It adapts.
It's going to adapt faster. So buy small.
And when we had said we've got maybe a foot of topsoil over our limestone rock. What happens when those nice little plants have gotten through that dirt and hit the limestone?
There's cracks in that limestone. They'll find a way.
So they get through to the water and nutrients?
If they're small. If you're going to plant a big plant, you're going to have to go in there and bust through and get a big hole.
Yeah, but then you're just making a rock pot, right? And really you're more subject to collect water in that.
Right. I wouldn't do it. Yeah, you're making a hole. And you're planting it's probably going to end up sitting in water. So
give me some more tips here.
You probably know about using mulch, right?
Right.
I like to use newspaper under the mulch, 4 or 5 sheets of newspaper. It gives another barrier to keep the weeds and things from growing up. And it just makes a strong barrier. And that newspaper will decompose and add organic matter to the soil and improve it. So it's a great little thing to do. Do
you recommend using any of the, I know some people that used to put down visqueen or some type of plastic underneath their mulch
I like using things that are going to decompose, and plastic's not going to decompose well. So I like using something that will go away with time.
What about if you're going to do organic stuff? What do you look for in a gardener?
If I'm going to, what do I look for in a gardener?
What do you look for in a gardener if you're starting out and everything and everything?
Just use natural materials. I'm not sure I'm understanding.
What I'm saying is if he comes to you and offers you products, what?
The person.
I want to see show me the research. I don't want to see a claim. I want to see an article that's been published in a peer-reviewed journal somewhere. I want to see something on a website from a land-grant college. It doesn't have to be A&M. It can be Purdue. It can be Georgia State. It can be Indiana. Any land-grant college. I want to see where they've done the research on it. So
you just don't take anybody's word for it. That you take every household product you got, pour it in the bottle, and shake it up and spray stuff. And
so much of that, they did something and it worked, but how do we know that's what really made it work? How do we know something else didn't happen? And so what the universities do, they do what are called replicated trials, where they do study after study after study in different parts of the country and do side-by-side tests and say, okay, what truly worked? And so I don't want to see a claim. I want to see research.
All right. And then you've got some other tips.
Other tips. Glyphosate, most people know it as Roundup, but there's lots of other trade names out there. People use it a lot. It's a pretty good herbicide for killing almost anything. But I think what many people don't realize, it only kills green, not brown. You can go out and spray it on your yard right now, and it's not going to hurt your grass at all. You can, if you got a weed growing next to a tree, you can spray that weed, and the overspray on the bark of the tree is not going to hurt the tree. It has to get onto the green growing part of the leaf for it to be effective. And I think a lot of people don't realize that and try to apply it, have misused
at the wrong time of the year.
At the wrong time of the year.
Read the label is what they say.
Read the label, and that's true of everything. Yes, my wife was after me because we had some I forgot, dollar weed coming up in our St. Augustine grass. It doesn't bother me a whole lot, but she wanted me to do something about it. So I looked and finally found a broadleaf weed killer that was approved for St. Augustine grass. Bought a bag of it, brought it home, and started reading a little more carefully. And then down there in the bottom, it said, do not apply around trees or shrubs.
Right.
Well, where does St. Augustine grass grow usually?
Around trees and shrubs.
So I ended up taking that back because the active ingredient in there was going to get taken up by the root system of the trees and shrubs.
If anybody all have any questions out there for Jerry or me or Gene, give us a call at 877-341-8950. That's 877-341-8950. What other tips you got for us?
Plant in the fall, not the spring. That's the best time of year to plant here. Now, I know everybody gets excited about planting in the springtime because that's when our juices get going, and it's especially yesterday, what a wonderful day to be outside and doing stuff. Mm-hmm. But especially shrubs, trees, things like that, plant them in the fall to give all that winter for that time, that root system to develop before we get to the hot summer.
All right, we've got to take another break. We'll be back here in a couple of minutes.
Did you know that some of the best home builders in the entire nation are right here in Parker County? Hello, everyone. This is Lynn Bearden, president of First National Bank of Weatherford. Our lenders believe your family deserves the best when it comes to your dream home. First National Bank is proud to support the Master Builder Show on QXFM. First National Bank in Weatherford has been building homes in Parker County since 1880. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
Fort Worth Lighting, serving Parker, Wise, Palo Pinto, and surrounding counties with a selection of interior and exterior lighting fixtures. They also have ceiling fans, mirrors, and vanities in all sizes. A lighting consultant will help you with your decisions. For an appointment with a Fort Worth Lighting consultant, the number is 817-597-6320, or the website is fortworthlighting.com. 817-597-6320 for Fort Worth Lighting.
I'm Jean Gibson, and I love Weatherford, and I'm proud to offer Zion Hill Estates. Zion Hill Estates is a country development 5 minutes from the center of Weatherford, grocery stores, hospitals, banks, department stores, and in the Peaster School District. 1 acre lot minimums gives you space to spread your arms and enjoy country living. 2 or more acres will give you space for your horse or your goats. Gibson Home Builders, 682-429-2116, will build you the home of your dreams in Zion Hill Estates. Go north of the square to 920, left on Zion Hill Road for 2.4 miles to Zion Hill Estates. We'd like to show you the land and an energy-efficient model home. The number is 682-429-2116.
Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, 2401 Zion Hill Road, Weatherford, Texas, 682-429-2116. We specialize in homes to suit each and every individual that expects special attention. We help design, finance, and close on every home we build. We use green building techniques in all of our homes. You can contact Jim at masterbuildershow.com. Gibson Home Builders Incorporated, Weatherford, 682-429-2116.
Hello, I'm Ken Johnson, Republican candidate for Palo Pinto County Commissioner, Precinct 1, and I'm proud to sponsor this programming on 88.5 The Ram.
Welcome back to the Master Builder Show. I am your host, Jim Gibson. Today's show is sponsored by the First National Bank of Weatherford. My today's guest is Jerry Parr with the Parker County Master Gardeners and my wife, Jean, and we're talking about different subjects here on planting, landscaping, and all that stuff. We had a caller called in, and the question is, what can you use to kill poison oak around and poison ivy, I guess, around your trees?
Yeah, that's a hard one. It's bad stuff. And there's 2 things you can do: pull it out by hand.
Right.
That's using gloves and being and wearing all kinds of arm protection, and be careful not to burn it because when you burn it, the oils and the poison ivy will get in the air, and then you'll get poison ivy in your lungs, which I've heard is really painful. But if you're going to, for a herbicide, you've got to use a brush killer. Your regular old herbicides are not going to do the job on it. But if you go to the nursery store or your local builder, whatever, you can look for brush killers. There's a lot of them on the market, and they'll probably be rated. Read the can again, and it will tell you if it's appropriate for it. But it's very hard. There are there are sprays out there, but it's not your normal herbicide you're going to get. Roundup's not going to hurt it.
No, but it's a woody type.
Right, and again, you're going to have to spray the leaves. If you spray in the trunk's not going to do anything.
So you're still not going to hurt the trees.
You're still not going to hurt the trees.
Okay,
but you can spray them any time in the year.
Not if they don't have leaves.
Well, they've got out here. They're already showing leaves.
All of these things. The best time to kill a weed is when it's actively growing. And so
right now when it's coming up
when
and
you're getting the new growth is the best time to try to do it. I would actually try hand pulling it up by hand and cutting it to me would be my preferred option. Depends on how much you have and how feasible that is.
What other tips you got for us today?
Well, I've already mentioned the agri horticulture. Let's see, curves. When you're putting, when you're putting your landscape beds in, and use lots of natural curves, again, pleasing to the eye. Mm-hmm. So don't put everything in a straight line. So odd numbers, things in curves, all those things, whoever these experts are, and it goes all the way back to Michelangelo and Da Vinci and all of them, talk about that odd numbers and curves and things like that are just more pleasing to the eye than everything in a straight row. So
the same herbicide that you're going to use to kill poison oak, poison ivy is not as hard to kill, is it, as poison oak? Or are they both
I think they're both about the same, and I'm not sure there's a real difference between the two. It's hard. The more I've read, I'm not sure if the horticulture, they're really that different. I think they're about the same plant, depending on who you ask at a particular time.
I thought one was an ivy and one was more of a...
They both look about the same from everything I've seen.
If it's three, let it be, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, well, Jean, you got any other questions to ask him about?
I always have questions.
I know you
do. We discussed bedding plants, and I've seen a lot of the gardens that have the lava rock around them.
As an edging?
No, as an
additive.
Put in your plants and then cover the whole bed instead of mulch.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And to do the lava rock.
You can do that. I just
doesn't it cook the roots though? Superheat?
No. It's going to underneath will still be cool. I wouldn't think that would. I just don't think it looks very good myself.
I think you're better off with the pine bark mulch or something,
or any kind of mulch. I think you're better off with it because it's going to decompose, and grass and stuff is going to grow up through that rock. There's nothing wrong.
It's not
with
a personal preference.
Yeah.
When you plant a tree in a garden, I'm thinking of a specific situation, and you have the lava rock above the flare. Mm-hmm. Is that having the same detrimental effect as having the dirt above the flare of a tree in a landscape?
I would
probably, yeah.
Yeah, I would think so.
It's going to trap moisture and stuff in there. You always want to leave a little space around the trunk, because otherwise insects and moisture and things can get in there and create damage.
So, are there any specific mulching products that are recommended over others? Is something
personal preference? I like pine bark mulch myself. Some cedar, cypress.
Something that locks together and doesn't wash off.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's again personal preference. I'm not much for the colored ones that are out now. That just doesn't look natural to me. But some people like it. If you do, go for it. It doesn't matter. I like the smaller better because it's going to decompose faster. And that's what I want because it's going to always be building up the soil. If you don't want it to decompose faster, then the cypress is probably better because it holds up. And if you've heard any of those rumors about bringing in Formosan termites in cypress mulch, that's all a folklore legend kind of thing. There's nothing to it.
Last year was an extreme rain for us and a drought in other sections of the country. It looks like we're starting out to be a lot drier this year. In preparation for a drier spring, what would you recommend that we do? You said put in your bushes in the fall. This is the time people put in their flowers, their bedding plants. What recommendations do you have there?
Well, water them well to get them established. Use mulch as much as you can.
To hold the moisture in the soil.
The only place I don't use mulch is reseeding annuals. If you've got larkspur or gomphrena or some of those kinds of things where you depend on them to reseed to come back the next year, you don't want to use mulch there. But otherwise, always use mulch.
Well, it looks like we've got to wrap it up for this week's show.
No. I want to talk to him some more.
Well, hold on a minute. We've got a networking after hours in Parker County. It's going to be held at the Parker County Flooring at 708 Palo Pinto Street in Weatherford. It's going to be from 5 to 7 on February 28th. If you're going to attend, it's for the Parker County Builders Association after hours. If you can, please RSVP to 817-599-4200. That's 877-599-4200. And we will see you next Tuesday.